Okay, welcome to the Frankfurt Mission. I appreciate you being here for everything that has gone into your life to be called to serve as a missionary and to now come to our mission. We are thrilled to have you. You've already heard a few presentations regarding legal work and financial information, and I will talk to you a little bit further about cars and apartments and visas, and there might be some overlap. So, when you arrive, you will have a brief orientation here at the mission office, and then you will be paired with a new companion who will be your trainer and sent out to a city. Within 3 days of arriving in your new city, you are required to register with that city, which is called an Anmeldung, and your companion will show you where to go. It'll be a Bürgeramt, most likely, and you will need your passport and the information here, the address where you live, and the paperwork that you filled out from Sister Bass or from the office secretary. Then it's really important, not too long after you have anmelded, to apply for your visa. The reason for that is transfers come about every 6 weeks, and so you may only be in that city for 6 weeks, and it oftentimes takes 6 weeks to receive your passport or your visa back. So we suggest that you get onto that very quickly, and you will go to an Ordnungsamt. It's usually not a Bürgeramt unless it's a very, very small city. You will take the paperwork that you have received during your orientation and filled out according to your orientation that you've already seen, and your passport and a photo. And you usually will not need your Anmeldung paper because that's all electronic now, but bring it anyway just in case. And then you will have to have your 110 euros in cash. By the way, in Germany we pronounced euro, so they mean the same thing. You'll hear it both ways. And this will be required when you apply for your visa. You will be living in an apartment, and these apartments are usually fairly nice. We have been working very hard to eliminate the apartments that are not quite up to our standards. And so you're expected to take care of that apartment, and you will have a senior couple assigned to your apartment, and once every 6 weeks, usually the week before transfers, they will come, they will make an appointment with you and come and inspect your apartment. They'll look for cleanliness, for problems, for mold, for trash that's laying around, and will give you help in making your apartment a nicer place to live. Notice that a lot of us come from the West and we don't have mold, but mold is a problem here in Germany. So it's important that you open your windows at least 15 minutes twice each day was a recommendation, so that the air circulation will prevent the mold from occurring. If it does start to form, then you must eliminate it as quickly as possible, either with a special mold disinfectant or Clorox and water, or some times a vinegar solution will work. But you might check with your with the AAPAR assigned to your apartment to get their suggestions on how best to take care of that. Another thing, each companion member should have a key. Always check before you walk out the door that you each have your key with you. If you ask your companion and he asks you, you will never be locked out. We unfortunately have missionaries constantly calling at 10 at night and saying that they're locked out, and this causes a problem. That late at night, it's very expensive to call for a locksmith called a Schlüsseldienst in Germany to have your door open for you. And this will be an expense that you have to bear yourself, and it can be up to as much as €100 to have the door opened by some. So be very careful. Always have your key with you. There should be another key for the apartment held either locally in the ward by a member of the perhaps bishopric or branch presidency, or at least by your nearest AAPAR or married couple that would be the ones who inspect your apartment. So if you have a problem, you might call them, but we suspect that if you ask each other before you leave, you will never have the problem. And the rest is self-explanatory. Don't use weights and let them pound on the floor, and don't use pull-up bars in the doorways. They ruin the wood of the doorways, and we will be liable to have those fixed. Okay, my name is at the bottom. If you are listening to this after I have returned from my mission, there will be another name, but whoever the office manager is the one to contact to report problems. Each pair will have a cell phone that you share, unless you are a zone leader or have some other responsibility that requires each of you to have a phone. If you lose it, it will be €35 to replace it. Keep the keypad locked. You can read this as well, and there are instructions regarding texting and the use of your phone that you need to be careful of. Zone conferences are held once a quarter. They will be held in one of 3 areas throughout the mission, and so your whatever zone you're in will go to the nearest area. And if you are in a car driving area, you will need to bring your car to the zone conference for inspection. And that's very important that we keep on top of the state of our cars. And we'll talk about cars a little bit more soon. If you lose your name tag, which seems most missionaries do sooner or later, you can order a new name tag from the office by sending an email to the office, and we'll provide that as long as you tell us the name to be on the tag and what kind of name tag you want, whether it's magnetic or a pin or a clip. Not long after you have unmelded, you will receive these 2 letters. The one on the left, the ARD letter, will come first, and it has to do with a tax on all apartments for the use of television and radio. That just needs to be sent into the office manager, and that will be taken care of. We pay quarterly for all of our apartments directly to the ARD office, and so we take care of that. You are not personally liable for it, so don't just throw the letter away. Send it into the office so we'll know that you've received it, and we'll take care of it. Maybe a couple of weeks later, you'll get a letter like the one on the right, and that has a number on it that will be your tax ID for Germany. Just file it away. You won't need it. If you ever come back to Germany with a company and earn wages here in Germany, you will need to know what that number is. And so, just like I said, keep it in your papers, and who knows, someday you may be back and have to use it. But for now, you won't. Before you can drive a car, if you are assigned to a car area, you must be certified. And we will give you send you a manual that's produced by the mission that you will need to study and pass a written test and send it into the office manager before you will be allowed to drive. It is important that you read the manual because you will not pass the test if you haven't. And it'll include road signs and mission rules and so forth, and we'll talk about that in a next slide or two. If you have a license from one of the states in the United States, you can drive in Germany for 6 months on that license from the day that your passport was stamped when you entered the country. After that day, you will not be allowed to drive. So you need to have two things. You need to be certified to drive, and you need to have your current license. After the 6 months, you will need a German driver's license, and we recommend that you apply for that around 6 weeks before your 6 months is over. And when you pass the test to be certified, we will send you information regarding your paperwork that you'll need to apply for your German license. It will include a translation of your American license. It will include your driving record that you've provided to the mission office. We'll send it back to you so you can use that. And you'll need to have your passport and your visa, and it'll cost about 35 euro to apply. You'll need a picture too, but all of this information will be spelled out to you when you pass the test, and we send that information back to you, so don't worry about that now, but it will be necessary. Now, if you're not in a car area, it's still important that you go ahead and become certified and get your German license if you can, or when the time comes, because you never know when you might be transferred. And these transfers come fairly quickly. You'll find out on a Friday, and you'll be transferred the next Thursday. And so you don't have time to go get your license then. So it's always important to have your license and be certified to drive as soon as you possibly can. This is the cover of what the Missionary Vehicle Handbook looks like. Like I said, you'll be sent this, and you'll need to study it. Each car has a limit of kilometers it can drive per month, and you'll need to know that limit and stay within that limit. It's always a battle, and so you need, if you're in a car area, you need to be prudent in the way you manage your kilometers. And at the end of each month, usually on the first of the month, you'll send in to the office your daily vehicle report that you've kept along the way throughout the month. And this will have the mileage each day that you've gone. It will also have who was driving the car, usually. And it will have, anytime you fill up, you'll write in the number of liters and the amount of the fill up, and retain the receipt from the gas purchase, so to send that along into the office. All of that will be needed at the end of every month. It needs to come to the office by the 4th of the month, so don't forget that. I won't read through all of this. You can read through it in your leisure. There is no such thing as highway patrol as we're used to it in the United States. You'll find that they have boxes along the side of some roads with a camera in them, and if you go over the speed limit, you will be flashed, your picture taken, as well as the picture of the license plate, and then receive a ticket in the mail. Now, this is called being blitzed, and you don't want to be blitzed. So be careful and always stay within the rules of the road and the speed of the road. Whenever you stop the car and get out, always make sure your windows are up, your doors are locked, that you've removed your GPS so it's not in plain sight. And there are certain things that remain in the car, and you'll see another slide on that in a second. Okay, within the town, it's usually 50 kilometers per hour, so that's about 30 miles per hour. There are places that are 30 kilometers per hour, so that's about 18 miles per hour, so it can be very slow. Be very careful that you stay within these limits. Between towns, usually you can go to up to 100, and on the freeway, the emission limit is 120 kilometers per hour, which is equivalent to about 72 miles per hour in the States. But you will be in areas where there are unlimited rules for speed, although you are not to drive that fast. Always stay to the right, because you will have people coming past you on the left that sometimes are going well over 100 miles per hour, and they come up very quickly, and you want to make sure you're not in the way. So don't pass on the right, always pass on the left, and as soon as you pass, get back to the right, so you're not in somebody's way. You'll notice that traffic lights not only go from red to green, yellow to green, but from green to yellow to red as well. Maybe I said that backwards. We're used to green to yellow to red. So you have yellow in between each change, and you can begin to go on the yellow, but not before. Another important thing is this last one. It is never okay to turn right at a stop unless there's a green arrow indicating that you can. If you do turn right on a red light, even though there's no traffic and you are caught, sometimes there's a blitz box at these places, and that can catch you. The fine is very heavy, well over €100. So you would be responsible for that personally, and any ticket that you get while driving, you are responsible for personally. And so you don't want to do that. Be very careful. Don't turn right on a red light. In the glove box, there are 8 things. This is on the test, I'll warn you right now, so you will have to memorize these 8 things. In the trunk, there are 3 things that you need to remember, and that will be on the test as well. Memorize those. And that's pretty straightforward. So those are all in your manual. And then there are traffic signs, lots of traffic signs, and you will be tested. There are 2 pages on the test of a variety of traffic signs and what they mean. So study the traffic signs carefully so that you can pass that portion of your test. Now, as was mentioned earlier, you have to have at least 80% right in these various sections of the test before you can be certified. If you fail a section or 2 of the test, we will send another test back to you for those sections, and you will be allowed to take them again. You can take it as many times as needed, and eventually you will pass. So don't worry about it, but if you study, you will pass the first time, as probably, I'd say 60% of the missionaries pass it the first time if they've studied. And that is the end of our presentation. If you have questions, ask your trainer. If he can't answer them, please call the office. The office manager's phone ends in 0801, and so we'll be here at all times to take your questions. Good luck. Welcome again to the mission, and have fun. Tschüss.